Okay, so today we're going to be reacting to some of the ridiculous TikToks that have come across my feed. So let's jump into it without further ado.
I'm, of course, the most open-minded investor slash NFT artist on YouTube with a diverse appetite for risky asset classes ranging between shopping centers and shitcoins, but not government bonds, creating contact-led, family-friendly, cookie-accepting, cat-free, technical and specialized tutorials and guidelines to harness the generational wealth transfer found in crypto trends. And last, as a believer of Jesus Christ and a fan of Gary and an extremely well-educated and multilingual Korean, but with hair naturally curly than the average Asian male and highly coveted by many moms with daughters, also known as Humble Kim.
Let me ask you a question. If I offered you $30 million for the company, would you take it?
All 5 sharks are out, but Mark Cuban has just made the largest offer in Shark Tank history.
Let me ask you a question. If I offered you $30 million for the company, would you take it?
No. I would not be taking it because we see this business growing as big as Match.com. And you know how much revenue they're generating? 800 million a year. They're becoming $1 billion revenue company, and we think this model and the product has potential to be as big as Match.
He offered you $30 million.
Let me ask you a question.
All right, so, okay, you got offered $30 million and these people, they didn't take it. It's a company called, I think it was called Bagels and Donuts or whatever it's called. I can't remember. I remember seeing it in the comments, but it's basically a dating website, kind of like your Hinge and stuff like that. And wow, 30 million, that's a pretty interesting valuation, but they reckon it'll be valued much higher than that. I guess these are the moments that we want to live for.
Somewhere on this planet, there is someone.
I cannot believe I'm doing a tape video, but here we go.
Somewhere on this planet, there is someone who is your age, may look a bit like you, who was just given some bad fucking news. Either they were just given a cancer diagnosis and given 2 weeks to live, or the police just knocked on the door and said, your family's dead. Yeah, a cement truck ran them all over. They're splattered all over the road. My family, yeah, all of them. I guarantee a bomb in Syria or a chemical attack in Yemen. There's someone your age who's just got given some bad fucking news. And if you were to sit there and explain to them your problems, they would swap lives with you in a heartbeat. And this is what most of you motherfuckers don't understand. You're not grateful for what you have because you don't understand and don't anticipate that there's someone out there who would do anything to have what you have. I'm not even talking about me with my Lambo and my beautiful women and all my shit. I'm talking about just a normal, safe life where you can watch hate speech YouTube videos and no one's gonna bomb your house. There are people who would do anything to trade with you. And if you were to sit there and try and explain to them all your problems, yeah, but you don't want to, I'm depressed and I have no girlfriend and it's hard to make money and my life's hard, and you were to tell them all your stupid reasons that you don't like your life, they'd sit there and listen to them all and go, okay, yeah, no problem, let's swap. And they'd sign on the dotted line. Somewhere on this planet.
That's pretty true. I mean, take a look at your life and, you know, consider some perspective, right? I mean, you may be coming from, you know, some of the examples that Tate's given you, but I don't always agree with this guy, but this video really resonated with me, so I just wanted to share that with y'all.
Cash is king, and in the next 12 months, more millionaires will be created than ever before. Watch. Hold up. I heard we're heading into a recession. The S&P 500 is down over 20% since January, and Bitcoin is down like 70%. Yup, and it is gonna make you so rich. For a finance tip guy, you don't seem to understand how a bear market works. Things are crashing, and the saying goes, bull markets will make you money. Bear markets will make you rich. On average, bear markets last roughly 9 months. That doesn't sound so rich to me. And then they're followed by bull markets that last on average 2.7 years, with the stock market up 112%. The last bull cycle ran up 400%. So if you have cash and an appetite to invest, you're locking yourself on a journey to be very wealthy at the end of this cycle. You can either dollar cost average on the way down, or you could do a lump sum investment. However, nobody knows when the bottom is. As always, keep following for more market updates. Cash it.
Yeah, so, I mean, I can summarize that video in one sentence, is buy low, sell high, right? Basically, a lot of you actually came into the market, especially to with crypto and also to do with a lot of, to do with the S&P 500 and stocks as well, is that don't invest when everything is going super duper well. Like, it's already too high. like buy in when the price is low, like kind of like now, right? Everyone's like getting out of the market. I think now is a good time. We don't know where the bottom is. On average, the bear market lasts about 9 months, bull market lasts about 2.7 years. Like, we get that. It's going to near that sort of time, and we're about 70% down on crypto, right? And so I think we'll get to as far as 85%. Down from the top, which will take us to about $13,000, $14,000. And so around that time, I think it would be, the bottom. Now, that's just my speculation. I think even right now is not a bad time to be dollar cost averaging into some of these positions. And of course, you need to allocate funds in the right way so that you're not allocating too much in a high risk sort of asset classes, and you're not allocating too little on the low risk asset classes. So now is better time than ever to actually start considering how you should plan your investment, not when everybody's coming in and everyone's trying to get in the market because of fear of missing out.
I'm an AI avatar, and I will show you how to summarize YouTube videos using AI.
These AI videos always freak me out.
So in 2017, they said crypto. 2018.
So there's this guy that keeps predicting the markets in the future. He is the CEO of HubSpot. HubSpot, if you know, is a company that does like social media type stuff. Is that what they do? I think that's what they do. That's right. HubSpot is a company that deals with customer relations management, and this guy obviously, and it's not a small ship, and this guy has been consistently predicting the market. So let's see what he says about the prediction.
So in 2017, they said crypto. 2018, you said CEOs being more political. 2019, remote work. 2020, every company will be a media company. What would the answer be in 2022?
The way buyers and sellers connect is fundamentally broken because you don't own your data. The consumers don't own the data right now. And we kind of experience this in the consumer world already, which is, like when I tweet, Twitter gets 100% of whatever economic value that I create, right? Like directly, they're going to advertise against it, they may sell subscriptions against it, whatever it happens to be. I make nothing. When you fill out your LinkedIn profile, you're going to tell them your work history, and the value you're hoping, like when people originally sign up, is that, it helps me be more discoverable in order to get a job. But then after that, it's like, if you're not looking for a job, like what was that creating for you? And the answer is, they will essentially license / sell / make that data accessible, and you get exactly 0% of that value. And I'm not saying either of those companies are bad companies. I'm saying the model is broken, and that in the future, that there will be a more direct, because
Well, do you get 0% of that value? Because you get distribution, I get distribution, and then we monetize that distribution. You with the world competitor, you could sell it, you could sell premium. I monetize my distribution with sponsorships and with...
Sure.
So we do get value.
We do on the company side. Yes, on the personal side, you're building brand, but it's an indirect value. So let's say we were even to monetize. Like, okay, this is a value that I actually got. The question is, if you even lump that in, what percentage of the overall value that was created went to the creator of that value versus the intermediary, right? It's like, okay, well, companies are buying. It's like, if I want to recruit, I go to LinkedIn, I do a recruitment database search or whatever, and I make hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars in revenue. How much of that actually flows back to the actual consumers and owners of that data?
So in 2017,
so that's really interesting. I think decentralization will play a lot into the question of like who owns the data. So by decentralizing it and giving it to all the creators and of course even the watchers and basically the distribution of the assets itself, it really can improve. I mean, I've actually spoken about the cryptocurrency project called XCAD before. They are kind of gone quiet at the moment because the crypto market is down, so it's not the best bang for their buck for them to go to do a lot of advertisement at the moment. But the XCAD model basically says, so basically YouTube, and you've got all your creators, right? So YouTube will get a sponsorship, like Samsung will say, hey, I want to like advertise my new phone on YouTube ads, and then YouTube will get paid, let's say $100 from Samsung, and with that $100, it'll pay $80 to the creators and it will keep the $20 as a profit. That's a centralized model with the centralized data that then is used to actually deliver to people watching YouTube videos that would ideally buy Samsung phones. So, for example, if I was a creator and I created a video on Samsung phone reviews, I mean, what a perfect target audience to deliver those ads to. So they'll put a Samsung phone ad at the beginning of that video, but the central body actually then receives that money. That's what the CEO of HubSpot is talking about right now, is that there is an indirect benefit that I'm receiving, but the data is stored at the center. So to decentralize all of this, what XCAD model was saying that, hey, why don't we then, the $100 that the companies are paying to advertise on the platforms, why don't they then give $90, making a $10 saving for the advertisers, right? The companies that want to advertise. we give $85 to the creators, and then the rest $5 can go to the people that are watching the video. Then we should then increase the viewership as well, because viewers are then incentivized to view videos. Like, imagine sitting down watching YouTube and you're just getting paid passive income, which I think is out of this world. So I think that is what this HubSpot CEO is on about, is to decentralize that ownership, and I think a lot of that could become possible with the help of decentralization, and that's going to be happening with obviously blockchain technology.
We turned $20 into 2 million overnight. Is that possible? Well, I'm pleased that you're enthused. Most people say, now you've lost it. It was okay up to now. You were cool up to now. But that is ridiculous. By the way, to let you know, what was the $20 spent on? It was spent on a bucket of white paint and a brush. Where was it? In Jakarta, Indonesia. It's the most congested city in the world. By the way, they've just announced that they're relocating the capital. They're going to start from scratch. No, they are, in Indonesia, and putting it on Borneo. But in the most congested city, it takes hours to get anywhere. The drive from our CBD building to the airport was between 3 and 6 hours, depending on traffic. So if you've got a 9 a.m. board meeting, you can't get a 2 p.m. flight. We went onto the roof of that building, painted a big white circle, and the letter H in the middle. We had helipad access. The renter went up by $2 a foot on average, converted from rupee or a meter squared. And there was 100,000 square feet. The renter went up by 200,000. Cap rates for 10%. What's 200,000 divided by 10%? Quick, folks. 2 million. The value of the building went up by 2 million. We turned...
Yeah, so that concept there is called value add strategy for commercial property. So in this situation, you did a very, very small thing, which then increases the value of the property by increasing the value of the cash flow. When you're buying commercial properties, you're not buying, the physical building itself. I mean, you are buying the physical building itself, but a lot of the value that you'll pay will be predominantly predetermined by what kind of cash flow that building is able to generate. It's like, why would you pay any money to buy a business that generates no money? Well, a commercial property or any kind of building that's commercialized to be rented out derives a lot of its value from the income that it is generating. So by increasing the income of the property by $200,000, by putting a helipad on top, which is an empty ceiling with a white paint on top, and then being able to rent that out on an annual basis for helicopters to land on it, they were able to then add an extra $200,000 a year income to that property, which then undergoes a capitalization yield rate, which in this case they will apply 10%, which I must say is extremely conservative. Nowadays, commercial properties sell at like 5% yield rates if it has a good enough covenant, which is another way of saying that it has a good enough lease attached to the actual property. So I doubt that it would have been just the white paint. I mean, they would have had some sort of communications or some other type of upgrades that were involved in there. But by having that $200,000 a year income increased on that property, and therefore increasing the capital of the property by $2 million, if not potentially more, I suspect that would have then warranted those other upgrades to then make this extra income more viable and more attractive as the offering. Not to mention, it probably was already attractive because it is a 6-hour commute zone, which is crazy. Now, I wonder if this kind of stuff is more plausible for a country like Jakarta or Indonesia, when like the governance of a city development isn't particularly as tightly looked upon as, for example, frontiers like here in Australia. Getting a helipad approved will cost so much money here in Australia, but I guess and potentially other jurisdictions as well. But potentially in developing countries where those kind of developments and improvements for property can be done with a lot more freedom, I suspect this would have been more possible. Either way, even if it hasn't cost $20, even if it's cost 20 grand or even $200,000, I think it's a totally worthwhile investment in being able to value add, or in this case, increase the income of the property, therefore increasing the capital value of the property. And oftentimes, properties can like empty out their empty space or increase their empty space to actually increase the income that then justifies that investment to actually expand, because it then ends up being a lot more valuable on capital. And of course, when your capital goes up, then you can refinance the actual property to actually get some more cash out to then do your subsequent investment as well. That's where commercial properties can become extremely, extremely lucrative.
How can I keep my daughter, 9 years old, away from these dangers from the internet?
Only 2 things. One, you actually don't let her spend time on it, which, as you know, is very hard because everybody in her world will be on it. 2, and this is the most important, the only way, I have a 13-year-old daughter, and I think about this a lot. This is my number one thing that I'm most passionate about, period, in the end of the world. Number one way to protect a child is to build their self-esteem. When a child is not insecure, they don't succumb to danger. Make sure she's confident about who she is, her brains, isn't overly reliant on how she looks. Build her actual self-esteem, because you're not going to be able to watch her every minute.
No, I can't.
But if you make, I know you do, which is why I'm telling you this, I can sense that you realize it. If you make her confident in who she is, that she's amazing the way she is, she will not succumb to other people, and that is how she will navigate.
Thank you very much.
I mean, say what you will about Gary Vee, advice like that doesn't come from somebody who isn't passionate. I mean, that is such an on-point advice right there. I mean, for those of you who have children, I guess, for those of you who are not, you know, who don't have children, but who also feel this way because you are on the internet, I mean, take that advice, you know, build your self-esteem. And with that being said, thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you in another React video if I feel like making another one. Peace.